now. So
Yeah.
who's on match point now? Tefl's on match point.
Tefl is on match point. If Tefl wins this next game, he wins the Rival StarCraft League Season 1. So I have a feeling he's looking to just completely close out the next game. Well, of course he is, but
Yeah.
I'm wondering if he's going to be a little aggressive in order to do so. He's maybe
I
going to
guess
throw
we'll see.
caution in the wind.
Yeah, well, I think this is one of those moments that it comes down to what I was talking to before. Some players are willing to go, okay, if I do this build, I've got like a 40% chance of winning, and then I just win the whole series. But on the other hand, even if it's like a 60% chance that your opponent will win, and then they're back onto even footing. So maybe it's not such the best time to do it. If you do the same 40% win chance build twice in a row, theoretically, you should most of the time win. But if you don't, it feels really bad.
Yeah. So Arena is getting set up now. Now this is one of the more interesting maps. There is a gold base, but there are two gold bases
But everyone
actually. I
forgets about
never
it.
see them used.
Yeah. Well, they're just a little too far away from the base, especially considering how short the rush distance is on this map.
Yeah.
And therefore, to an extent, how easy it is to actually scout your opponent. You just kind of can't take them. I haven't ever
Yeah,
even seen the game go long enough to get to those bases where they would be natural
Yeah.
expansions, like the expansion you'd next take naturally. What is it, like a fifth base, sixth? The gold bases on Arena.
Yeah, they're pretty far away. Like maybe six. Because I rarely even see a game on Arena go to the fourth base.
Oh no, it is one gold base, and it's like right in the bottom, so it'd be like your
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.
It's like kind of like in the middle,
third,
right?
fourth, fifth, sixth,
Or
seventh. It'd be like your 8th base, unless
yeah.
you're doing something a little bit unusual. But yeah, let's get back to this lobby, and looks like both players are ready. So yeah, why not get things going?
The little bridge can cause problems in the early game sometimes, but both players pretty good at that early aggression. We'll see how they
Yeah.
handle it.
It's the more mid-game aggression that I think concerns me and most players on these maps,
Yeah.
especially as a Zerg player. It's much more possible to like, because what is it? There's two builds that I'll keep on talking about this after I've actually sorted the scores out. Do you want to introduce our player up here?
Yep, in the top left, we have our yellow Terran representing Team Gravity. It is Semper.
And his opponent down the bottom left, the teal Zerg player from Dignitas. We have Tefl. And so two of the really big strategies for Zerg on this map, so far as aggressive early game strategies go, are just any kind of general Ravager push turns out pretty well,
Yeah.
just because short rush distances, short air rush distance means you can get a couple Overlords to provide high ground vision for your Ravagers, and also the Ling Queen drop or Ling Roach drop or something like that. And both of these pretty hard counter to major Terran openers. So a Ravager push, very, very strong against any kind of opener that includes Hellions. And a Ling Queen push, very, very strong against any kind of opener that includes tanks. Because the Lings close with the tanks quite quickly and kind of counter them in the early game. Or you just drift the Overlords on over and drop on top of the tanks. And yeah, that leaves the Terran player with very few options. They take a risk of losing to one or the other build, or they go for Banshees, which do have counters in their own right. So yeah, I mean those are some of the options that Tefl has to be considering right now.
Yeah. And right now we do have the drones again have been pulled off the gas once that speed has started, so no quicker layer like we've seen in some of the past games, but it seems like Tefl does pretty well with this style. Lings might delay the command center a little bit, but going to get pushed back here by Semper.
Yeah, not too bad overall, just a little bit of a delay. But ultimately, Tefl was probably going to build those Lings anyway, just for a little bit of safety. So yeah, not too bad.
Yet we do again have that quicker factory. This seems to be something that Semper really enjoys. Instead of adding a few more barracks, he goes straight for that factory. Goes for his starport too. Tech Lab on that factory would not at all be surprised to see tanks. We do actually have Tefl taking his third base now.
Yeah, pretty timely third base. Semper, meanwhile, going up to his starport, got Tech Lab there. Good to him go for a tank drop or Banshees. Either one would be a fine choice. Banshees, I would have said maybe a little more likely, given it's Lorena, but hey, I mean, tank drops also benefit from the air rush distance.
Roachhorn coming out now for Tefl. And there is our lair also from Tefl.
Yeah, relatively fast, but actually, it's kind of an okay timing.
Yeah, and I mean he's getting his third base. It's not the super quick ones that we have seen in the past.
Yeah. I mean, it's after speed, so therefore it's some kind of regular timing, basically. At least as far as Tefl seems to be concerned. But taking his third gas, he's kind of split his gases up between his main and natural, which is kind of interesting. Usually you'd see players like take both their gases in the same place. So they'd take one gas in the main and then take the other gas and then go to their natural. Or take both gases in their natural if they're going for a bit of a gasless opener and then in their main. But splitting up, I guess, has its advantages.
We have Roach speed now for Tefl. He is getting an Evo chamber. So I always wonder about drops when I see especially just the one Evo chamber.
Yeah. I think it's late enough that it's probably just for upgrades. But
yeah, definitely
I mean, obviously,
could be.
It still can be for drops at any point in the game, but just a little less likely the longer it goes on. Double eBay come down to Semper in his wall off, which is perfectly fine. And yeah, you just a little bit of push out to bring up some creep, clean up some creep, and if you can get anything else done, then great.
Yep, a few more roaches now coming out. Semper, though, pushing forward with a couple of his siege tanks. Ravager, though, does get a nice file off on the one tank. Semper lifts it up, though, to save it. I think he's trying to get in a really good position. Make sure to get out of harm's way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not too bad overall. Doesn't lose any tanks. 1 or 2 Marines go down, and he cleans up some creep tumors and I think killed off a roach or two. Forced those extra roaches to come out of Tefl as well, which is important. Tefl, I'm sure, would rather have gone up to like 80 drones.
Yeah. Already we have the infestation pit coming out.
Yeah, man. He hasn't even started any upgrades.
Yeah. I'm wondering what that is about. What is going to happen with that?
I mean, I guess he's going to get super fast hide.
He could get super
go
fast
for infestors themselves.
Infestor.
Ooh, a tank goes down.
Yeah, and Semper, he's only on 2 bases. Is he making a... There is his next orbital, however. Hasn't landed yet. Looks like it is a hive, and now he is going for his fire. So he was going for that super quick hive.
Yeah. I was about to suggest he was going for like a Broodlord rush, but he's actually getting the missile attack, so it doesn't benefit Broodlords at all, so... I don't know, maybe not, though.
Yeah.
Guess we'll see. Oh, that tank just gets saved. Skin of its teeth.
And right now, Semper just landed his third base. Transfer some SCVs over to it. So he's just now getting his third up and running. More roaches on the way though for Tefl, and soon we'll see that spire finished.
Yeah, and Tefl running a bunch of lings around. They're gonna try and put some hurt onto this third base. Meanwhile, Semper just trying to control this choke as best he can. A tank, best way to do that as any. A little bit of drop coming in towards the main, but Tefl's pre-positioned with a bunch of roaches and Spore Crawl there. Shouldn't be able to, or shouldn't have to take too much damage while taking that out. And the lane run by gets one SCV, maybe two. I think just one.
We do have a small drop here in the main, but on a more interesting note, we've got a greater spire actually being built. It is indeed Broodlords that we will be seeing soon. Corruptors are being added now onto the field. This is a really interesting build that we're seeing here from Tefl.
Yeah, it's definitely really unusual. I guess the point is the Broodlords don't care quite as much about upgrades if you're using them as siege units. You just kind of chip away and chip away and chip away. Whereas the Roaches and Ravagers sit under the Broodlords and stop the Terran player from actually engaging into them. That's where you want your ranged attack upgrades to make them more of a threat, I suppose.
Yeah. That Greater Spire that will be finishing soon. Semper though with the nice little attacks there, the drops to basically keep Tefl at home at this point, scare him a bit. He wants to know what's up too.
Yeah, that's what drops gain their usefulness later on in the game. Not so much necessarily for dealing damage, but just for getting those scouts down onto your opponent, moving out with your army, or just defending a push, holding it off, and then you move out to drop, and you see what he's remaxing on and can respond to. Now the Broodlord's starting to be morphed up. 3 is the first round being morphed in, and definitely forward with his lanes. Can't break those tank lines.
Yeah, the Broodlords though are starting to finish. These Broodlords will make this really interesting here. Tefl kind of fighting in an interesting spot there. One tank does fall. But now Broodlords and Ravagers being morphed. A few Broodlords have already been finished.
Yeah, they're just going to start sieging away. The tank's going to be doing as much damage to the Terran buildings as the Zerg does at this point, with all the splash damage killing off the Broodlings.
Yeah, and one of those bunkers was fallen too, but the Vikings trying to get some work done on the Broodlords, but there's a lot of Broodlords here, and a lot of Biles start to go down too. Yeah, and Tefl, he's moving forward. This is a pretty scary army now.
Oh, for sure. This Roach Ravager force is just absolutely demolishing through everything Semper has. The Broodlords have been able to push away the tanks and just do just enough damage that Tefl can actually move forward with this ground force. And boy, is he moving forward. He's absolutely demolishing this. Takes out a big chunk of the bio, and it's 73 army supply to 101 right now. The third base has fallen. The E-bays are under attack. So many SCVs from Semper have died. I'd say the number, but they just keep on going up all the time. And yeah, the Broodlords finally fall to these Vikings, but it's way too late. They've done their damage.
Yeah, so much damage has been done now to Semper. He's trying his best. He's lifting tanks off to safety, landing Vikings to get what he can down. And Semper has done a little bit of damage, especially to Tefl's fourth base. And he may actually hold against this force, but at what cost? I mean, he lost so much, but that Marine hit squad is actually going pretty crazy here at the third base, too. It's killed the fourth, he's taking down the third. This could be what Semper needs to get back into the game.
Yeah, I mean, taking out 2 bases is a pretty hefty hit to the income of Tefl as well. Tefl may have killed like 50-some SCVs, but at the end of the day, it's income that matters, and actually, that's pretty heavily in favor of Tefl. Oh boy. Although, once Semper transfers his SCVs around, moves this third base, his main over to this third base, then he might be in an okay position. He might be able to even up.
Semper's Marines still out on the field, taking down some Overlords, but not going to supply Black Teufel anytime soon. Getting some drone kills, though.
Yeah, the important thing, though, is this base, and he's going to cancel that again. This is what Semper actually needs to do, is root back into the game. If he just keeps the opponent suppressed, these two Spine Crawlers are going to die to bleeding damage in a second. Pop, pop. And yeah, then he can actually make his way back in. He's about to be on 3-2 against 1-1, which is horrendous for Teufel.
Yeah. Teufel's upgrade's not nearly what Semper's are now.
Yeah, literally no defensive upgrades at all. Just +1 on Lings, +1 on range. And oh boy.
Teufel, though, he's moving forward again. A lot of Ravagers in this army. And there's quite a few Vikings here for Semper, but they're landed. They're not going to do the damage they could normally do while flying.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they do a little better against roaches than they are when they're flying, but they still don't do well. And Marine Hit Squad's looking to catch a few reinforcements, but there's nothing coming out of Teufel in that regard. He's just keeping it all at home, because he needs this third base to come back up.
Third base looking like Semper set sights again on that third base, but Teufel had enough at home to push back that attack. But Semper's third base, it's had a lot of mining denied as well. He's now able to mine off it again, but attacks have constantly been pushed towards it. You know, Semper's probably feeling a little bit of pain as far as economy goes too, and no doubt Teufel is as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. Both players definitely not getting to play the economic game they wanted in this. Especially this Viking's just been roaming around killing Overlords. Got 5 kills, going to rack up another 2 over here. But the real kill to master is Orc Command. Looks like Semper is going to be able to deny Teufel kill right on that.
Yeah, Teufel playing it, you know, not rushing headlong into anything you shouldn't right now. He's playing this very patiently, making sure he gets that good positioning that is super important.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely does want to be careful to take the right engagement here. Taking the wrong engagement into a Terran siege line can very quickly lead to your spiraling downfall, especially when you know or suspect the Terran has a medevac or 2 out on the map, which is an entirely reasonable assumption when you're playing at Semper.
Oh, for sure. We've seen Semper many times with those Marine Hit Squads, with those multi-prong drops. It is definitely safe to assume that he's got a medevac near your base at all times.
Speaking of which, here comes a small squad trying to clean up some creep. Doesn't see any luck with it, but he does manage to trade a Marine for a couple of drones and just deny this third base, or fourth base even now once again, before the medevac makes its way out.
This Marine squad doing a nice job killing some creep, killed a queen as well, just trying to clear up what it can. However, the supplies are starting to get pretty telling here. 170 supply to 126 for Semper, and that's 132 army supply to 88, so Teufel has really started to come back here.
Yeah, I mean, he's in a better position than he was when, or just after Teufel's first big attack, but it's still not like a good position unless Teufel actually like takes a really bad engagement. That's not a great engagement. He's going to lose a lot of roaches and raptors for basically free there. We'll see what can actually get done to these Marines. Close in those medevacs.
Yeah. Got pretty close there with that bile. Teufel pushed that force back, making sure he doesn't overextend. Looks like he wants to take his 4th base again, too.
He's leaning towards that. Finally, the Broodlord starts coming now for Teufel, and this might be the tiebreaker that Teufel needs to actually start bringing things in. But oh man, the first few volleys of those siege tanks are devastating, but so many of them fall from corrosive vials. No chance for medevac micro from Semper, and Teufel crushes forwards.
Yeah, losing so many tanks to that vial was a big deal. However, it looks like Semper will hold again here. But that was a lot that was lost there for Semper. Then again, it was a
but
lot lost for Tefl as well, and Tefl still does not actually have the score base, and
yeah, he didn't have the bank.
GG. Well played, what a game.
The series, best of 7. This is one of the like grand finals matches I've seen in quite a while.
No, and now we're going to, that's perfect, game 7, I love
Yeah.
it. And these games, especially these last two, have just been so intense.
Yeah, and speaking of intense, we go into Central Protocol.
Oh.
This is obviously the map that both players least wanted to play.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, tied even scores. This is the map where both players bring out their best strategies because they have to win this game or it's curtains.
I'm excited. This is going to be good.
Get your popcorn, ladies and gentlemen, because this is most certainly going to be a fun series. Or map even. It's the best of 1 now.
It is. Both players probably not too excited about playing on this map. There was a recent change. Well, I guess not recent anymore. It's been a while, but the back rocks have been taken away.
Thing is, that actually really only helped the map against for Reapers.
Yeah.
Because A, it actually provides more of a cliff for them to jump up.
It does.
And B, you can't counter-attack through that destructible rocks path against the player who went Reapers so easily. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, Reapers have pretty much become the name of the game on Central Protocol since that change came in. But that means that people who evolved, like the Departure build, super fast Roach Warren, try and play defensive against Reapers, then counter-attack, which means that players don't play Reapers as much. It's all this cyclical meta.
Yeah.
And it's sort of settled down now, but we can definitely see one player shake it up and just go, they're still good. Reapers are still good.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you mentioned that quick Roach Warren, because in a few of our games in the RSL and TVZ, we've actually seen the Zerg just go straight for that Roach Warren. So like you said, that's pretty common.
Yeah, definitely a kind of tech possibility of the Zerg suspects any kind of early aggression, particularly early Reapers. Roaches do tend to crush that, but we'll just see. Semper's asked for just a second before we go into the last game, and yeah, then we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know about him, but after a game like that, I'd probably need a couple minutes.
Yeah. Okay, both players ready. So, man, final game already? Best of 7s and Legs of the Void seem to go so fast.
I know, they do. It feels like game 1 was not too long ago, and I guess it really wasn't.
Yeah, well, Central Protocol, of course, one of the most difficult maps to take any kind of expansions on in the current pool, despite the most recent changes. They're just further away. Well, no matter, here we are.
Spawning in the top left of Central Protocol, we have our light blue Zerg. It is Tefl.
And his opponent is on the top right, spawning in the